Hey everybody, Doug here from 2 Plus Tough, and I am just hanging out for Easter's. And I just had some time after, I don't know, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. We don't have any family near us, and was just settling in to do a little bit of hobby. And I thought maybe if there was anyone else who had also just finished hanging out with their family all day, needed to chill and unwind, and just kind of have a fun little chat. So happy Easter, everyone. I'm very excited to have a chat with all of you. Just a quick announcement here. I don't have a video ready for tomorrow morning because I spent I spent more of my day outside with people than I thought I was going to. So I don't have anything quite ready yet, but that's all right. So let me know in the chat if you had a good Easter, if you can hear and see me okay. What I'm going to do here in just a second is go to the downward cam. But what I have been working on is actually some Stormcast Eternals. And I will I'll show these to you up a little bit more when we go to the downward cam. But basically, if you haven't seen my hobby haul video, I came into a huge lot of Stormcast Eternals on the extreme cheap. And I just needed a painting break from the Scave. And I think painting 40 Plague Monks all at once, I'll go to the downward cam here, kind of broke me. Yeah, so what I am doing is the Celestial Vindicator. So here's my test one. It's got the teal and the white robes. I think they look absolutely stellar. They just look bold and different and completely different color palette from any of the stuff that I do with Skaven. So I'm very excited. Okay, cool. Some people popping up in the chat. I just saw your message, Adrian. Hello to you as well. And like I said, just let me know if everything seems to be working okay. So yeah, I'm doing some Stormcast, and that's what we're going to be painting tonight. I got 4 more that I'm just finishing up the white, the second layer of the white robes. Basically for all the robes that I do with, I base them with Celestia Gray. And then I go in and into the cracks and crevices and do a mix of Nuln Oil and, let's see. What else do I do? Oh, and Lamy Medium, that's what it's called. And then build it up with Oath 1 Gray and do extreme highlights with White Scar. And that's how I do my white robes, which is, you can go see it on my Instagram. That's what I'm trying to think of the word for. But yeah, so Mogwai Man, hello. Back to Stormcast. Isn't that an army you already had? It sort of is. Someone traded me a bunch of Stormcast many moons ago, and it was a lot of the first, I guess I call them first gen Stormcast, where it was all the very static poses. It was all the Liberators. There were a couple Adjudicators. And what else was there? I don't think I had any Prosecutors. Oh, and Retributors. All the basic starter box stuff. And I don't know. I got out of the faction because I found those poses to be very static. And those units were not super different from my Slaves to Darkness. I mean, like a Chaos Warrior is a Stormcast. They have almost the exact same profile if you take a certain weapon. And so I just didn't find them that interesting. So I painted up a bunch of the Hammers of Sigmar, and then I was like, well, I don't want to own 2 armies that basically play the same. The only thing that set the Chaos apart was their marks, which didn't mean anything back then because no one had a battle tome except for Khorne. So I was like, no, I'll pass on these. So actually I got rid of them. Which means you are correct. This is actually the first army that I've ever done twice. But none of the same models. Like I don't have any of the original first gen models in my collection right now. What I do have is a whole heckin' ton of Soul War stuff, for sure. I got that for days. So let's see here. Adrian says my army plan died. I can't find a way to pay for things in euros. I don't really buy much, to be honest with you, outside of in person. But it can definitely help you out. I have models for days. Get you gaming. Let's see here. The only thing about the white is you just gotta be real careful with it. And I was kind of on the fence between Celestial Vindicators, which is these guys, the teal, or going with something that I've never seen in person, which is the Knights of Chelsea, the white Stormcast. And I don't know. I just sent them at the teal. The teal is my wife's favorite color. and I like to do anything I can to make her interested in what I'm doing. So she's been kind of digging the paint scheme here. All right, let's see here. Torchow, Doug, what Stormhost rules do you like? There are good things about all of them. I'll be honest with you, I have the Battle Tome, and I've been digging into it here and there. Honestly, in terms of like, if I'm just going with straight rules, I really like the Hallowed Knights for their command ability. I think they're the one that let you run in charge, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong. Like I said, I haven't dug into the book a ton. The Celestial Vindicators, being able to give a unit +1 attack is really nice. And it's actually one of the things that kind of drew me towards them, because it's one of the things I really liked about, what are they called? The Beasts of Chaos one, where you get spawn. Like, the spawn also allow you to buff, add an additional attack and that kind of stuff. So, thought that was kind of cool. Can't remember the name of the Great Fairy right now. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. So, Celestial Vindicators, really, really cool. I found in the last Battle Tome, the one I read for when I did the Celestial Vindicators lore video, it had a lot more emphasis on, like, they use swords. Like, that was kind of their jam. And that's kind of got retconned a bit. They're not nearly as, like, sword play focused. Which is, I mean, it's cool, because honestly, like, they would all have every kind of weapon, so. But yeah, between them, Anvils of Heldenhammer is great for shooting armies. I like it all. Let's see. Senesh sneak peek this week. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. If you have a direct question for me, I'm happy to answer anything. If you throw the word question in front of it, I have a much higher likelihood of seeing it. Had a few times where people got frustrated. I thought I was ignoring them. But in my chat on my end, it just kind of all filters out to look exactly the same. So, unfortunately, I accidentally miss people. What I'm doing is just grabbing the topmost folds of fabric. And you know, one of the things is that you have to thin the paint out quite a bit to build up a nice, not white, but Ulthuan gray. And the nice thing is it dries pretty darn quick, and so the second you're done with one part, you can go back to where you started. It allows you to knock out models pretty darn fast. Let's see. Kenji says, "Boom, paying Stormcast too. Awesome. Mogwai Man, I order models off Amazon now, paying $42.50 instead of $50 adds up. It really, truly does. Yeah, if I ever have an Amazon gift card, I'm always hunting for stuff that I might be able to snipe. Because, you know, Amazon's a fun, interesting place to buy stuff, because sometimes you'll get people who, like, there's a local business to us who they buy stores that are closing's inventory and then resell it online, because that's what they do. They're just really good at flipping things online. And so, yeah, one time I was in their store and they were like, they had this box, and it was the old Battle of Macragge starter set for $40K. And they were selling it for like $8. And I immediately bought it. Didn't even open it to like inspect it. And then I got home and it was like 2 halves of, I think it was the Tyrion set. I think Battle of Macragge. I'm not sure that was one, but yeah, I made several dollars off of that, because they just didn't know what they had. So it's interesting, because people do that on Amazon too. They'll flip stuff and be like, I don't know what this is. Toy soldiers, dirt cheap, and they don't even know that they're holding on to like $60 worth of minis. Give me just a second here, and I'll hop back in the chat. Cool. All right, I like that one. Let's see. Cody the Bear, do you have a nice Easter? Yeah, it was pretty low key. We don't have any family up here in the Pacific Northwest. They're all back in the Midwest and South. Midwest for my wife, South for me. And yeah, went to church this morning. And then we hung out with some friends, had a pizza dinner because, you know, that seems like an appropriate Easter meal. And just got back a little while ago. I like low-key holidays. Growing up, my mom was a single mom, so she always had to work on holidays. So we never got big into, like, celebrating them. She always had to work, you know, because single mom got to make some extra money. And holiday pay is always really good. So I just was not raised in an environment. Now my wife, her mom goes all out for holidays, so it can be a bit much. So the nice, relaxed feel of just chilling, take that any damn I can. Let's see here. Question: are you considering trying wet palette? Never looked back since. I grabbed one on Amazon at one point and I hated it. It didn't seal very well, and so now I'm like, meh. Kind of turned me off from the idea. I know there's better ones out there. It's just, I don't mind what I do. But I'm told that pretty much every other time I record, it's like, oh man, you gotta get a wet palette. It's gonna change everything. Same thing about airbrushes. But the problem is, if I have either of those things, and anything that enables me to paint faster will only make my hobby ADD army swapping problem even worse. Let's see. Oh, Stone, how about that new Keeper of Secrets? It looks like a duelist. Hopefully a behemoth killer. Hopefully it's a flesh eater quartz, specifically behemoth killer. No, if you haven't seen it, go check out the community page today. Yeah, man, that the new. So basically, they showed us the Keeper of Secrets, which we saw before, but they showed us the character variant, and the character is going to be obviously in both 40k and AOS, so you can just build the character and not have to worry about that. But it's pretty cool stuff. Although, seeing the book come out so soon, I was expecting it to be a little bit later because I thought they were going to preview some, like, mortal Slaanesh stuff. Like, the idea being they didn't show us everything in the book. But I guess not. And we're going to hear some complaints from Slaanesh folks. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. You can always add to it later on. Looks like I'm missing messages. I gotta scroll down here 1 second. Sorry about that. I'm just getting caught up. Let's see. Question: we're getting a big Slaanesh lore video. Are we getting a big Slaanesh lore video after its release? Anything in the Slaanesh release interest you, rule or lore-wise? Well, Bob, all of it interests me, and I mean, I have no confirmation that they're sending me an early book, but I have no reason to think they won't. They did for the Fire Slayers, and they've been sending me early copies for quite some time, but for whatever reason, FedEx just wasn't getting them to me. I'm not sure why. So interesting stuff. But anyway, now I had them forward it to my work, and I did get this one. So that means if they send me a preview copy, I will be receiving it. And of course, I actually plan to do an entire Slaanesh week. And I think that should be a lot of fun. I'm interested to see what they do with the lore. Like if Slaanesh truly becomes free again, and what that means. I don't know. It's a good opportunity to have like real drama between the Chaos Gods, because right now, as far as we know, lore-wise, Khorne has really taken up a good chunk of Slaanesh's real estate in the Realm of Chaos. Hence the Wrath and Rapture box set. That's kind of what that box is supposed to be exploring. And I hope we see another Wrath and Rapture set for Tzeentch and Nurgle one day. That would be just so cool. Just give more people onboarding opportunities to get Summoning stuff. Let's see. I don't think I missed any questions. Gave Spawn, thank you. Okay, I'm just gonna skip down here. Kinsey, do you think the Senesh release will see Wave 2 for Mortals? I'm not sure. I feel like we would have seen something right now. But the most mortally looking thing that we have is their Demon Prince, which just looks like a big, angry dude. And I like it. Like the perfection of what I'm assuming is the human form. But I really feel like if they were going to add an entire new like element to the army, like meaning the model range for mortal stuff, I just feel like we would have seen something by now. But I mean, they kept Skaven and Flesh Eater Courts pretty well on the down low for quite some time. So I don't know. I don't work for the company, so I'm not in the business of saying what they're doing or not doing. I have no idea. Let's see. Gonna help your... Sorry, Doug, did you read the Malign Portent short story with Marathi and Malarian? When they were fighting over souls? Yes. It's been a little while. I haven't read any of the Malign Portent short stories in some time. I'm not gonna lie. So like when they were doing those short stories, I was reading them daily for the first 2 weeks, and then I got busy at work or something like that. I just kind of like drifted away, and then I came back like 2 weeks later. I was like, oh, they're still doing this. Okay, I was on board again. But they actually went on those things a lot longer than I thought they were going to. Okay, that looks. Okay, looks good. And so what I'm doing right now is just doing the Ulthuan Grey, and then I'm going to go back and do the Extreme Edge highlight of White Scar to get the white done. It's basically the same white that I did on all the capes for my Slaves to Darkness. Yeah. I'm going to help my friend build the rest of her Slanesh side of that set tomorrow. Pretty timely. Yeah, and it's also, what? Oh, I don't think there's a chariot in that set. I mean, the chariot I found to be brutal to build. There's just all those little spikes. But I don't think a chariot comes in the Wrath and Rapture set. That's good. Follow-up question. Do you think GW's current MO is to get battle tomes out as a foundation and then add models? I'm not sure what their current thing is. I think it's pretty easy to see based on what they've talked about, what they want to do for this coming year and that kind of stuff. I think they really saw the value in all the books being on the same edition in 40K, and then decided we need to do that for AOS as well. And I think that's kind of the mission now. As far as model support, I can't really say. I'm not sure. I'd be happy with that, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd rather be all playing the same game and then models trickle out for people later on. Like if you play, I don't know, just generic Slaves to Darkness, you're not playing the same game as the Nighthaunt player with all his special rules and all kinds of cool stuff, It's fun. I had fun, but it's different. So I'd rather give us rules, let us get updated so we can all kind of swing at the same level, or at least a comparable level. And then do whatever you want with models. We'll be excited whenever they come out. Sean Blake, hey Doug, hey, what up? Stone, I remember that short story. Yeah. So basically, they pull a soul out of Slanesh, and it overhears conversations between Malarian and Marathi, recognizes them, and they're like, "Oh crap!" and so they jam it back inside Slaanesh, which is super gross, but also like they're just not good people. So it's quite a bit of fun. Let's see. I think that was like, that was right before, right before or during Daughters of Cain being released. I can't recall, because like people were still talking about Marathi. Might have been right after. I'm terrible at putting things like in chronological order from memory. Let's see. Hugh, hey Doug, what are you doing right now? Happy Easter. What I'm painting is some Stormcast Eternals from Soul Wars. If you watched my hobby haul video, I got a big old lot of Stormcast for dirt cheap. And I needed a painting break from the Skaven. And right now I'm painting 10 Sequitors. And the sad realization dawned on me that these 10 Sequitors come out to be the exact same number of points as the 40 block of plague monks that I just finished painting and burned myself out on. And so it's just really like, man, it's really nice to have a simple army where you don't have to paint as many dudes. So I'm actually kind of excited about that. I just want to start painting them because one, I need to paint something else just to kind of cleanse my palette, but also just Stormcast are cool. To quote Elric from the Rolling Bad podcast. Let's see. Ben Etriad reporting in. Hello, Ben. Okay. Kinsey, thought for your Stormcast, perhaps the Stormcasts were part of a civilization that spawned your slaves to darkness. In absence of heroes, they fell to chaos. Nice. I'm down for anything. Yeah, I'm taking suggestions on the lore for this particular Stormcast chamber host, whatever you want to call them. I think I want the Storm host to be as Celestial Vindicators, obviously, because I painted them that way, but as far as the backstory of this particular chamber. So if anyone has any awesome ideas, Kenzie is being cool enough to help me write some narrative stuff. That'll be in the next narrative battle report once I have these guys painted up. And we are all ears. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'll take a look back at the chat. It's the fine detail work of the robes where we can only catch the top part of it that gets a little cumbersome. All right. Ben, hey Doug, I added another. Oh, wait, everything just moved to the AOS ranks. Friend has dove in with the new corn stuff. Nice. Corn stuff is pretty nice. Jack, or Only Ones, has both Corn and Fire Slayers. He's much more in love with the Fire Slayer release, but I think we're going to see his Corn soon. I'm excited about it. I think the Fire Slayer release was just exciting. It was just cool to see an old book get redone. Sean pinned that furnace. It's ready to be primed. Sweet. So Sean is helping me with my Plague Furnace for my Clan's Pestilence army. That is going to rock the tournament scene locally and make Jack weep every time we play against one another. It's gonna be awesome. We did that big list review thing As Jack, so this weekend Jack went to Wet Coast Pairings up in Canada, and I'm going to let him on his channel talk about how he did, but I will give you a spoiler. He did play against that army that was 160 plague monks. And it made me happy. and there was much weeping and gnashing of teeth. Like so many parts to each one of these robes. All right. Okay, it fell behind the check. Let me get caught up to see where I'm at. Let's see. Stephen Chan, I have a feeling, though, that they were just updating the current old battle tomes like Sylvan and Iron Drive. Probably still squat stuff, like what happened to Greenskins and Get Mob. Yeah, I think some of the older stuff. I think definitely some of the elf range is probably gonna go away. Hope not much of it. They gutted a lot of those things from the Wood Elves and the High Elves and that kind of stuff. But I think you're right. I think there's some stuff that they need to make a creative decision to be like, no, this just doesn't fit with what we want to do. Or this, they have to be sensible in the sense of like, hey, is this mold working? Like, can we keep producing this if we put it in the book? Just that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm sure of it. Bob Jones, question: do you think that once the other gods find what the elves did, they'll be mad? Like Sigmar wouldn't be happy that the elves put the realms into so much with what they did. Can you explain that a bit more? I'm not sure what you're talking about with the elves. I mean specifically Malarian and Marathi. Need to clarify that question a bit. Let's see. Sean Blake, do cloud bases for your Stormcast. What I'm actually thinking of doing is getting like the asphalt and like rough black basing texture from G-Dubs, and then putting washing sections of it, small patches of it with the purple wash, and kind of building up like a shy-ish like amethyst base. I think that'd be kind of cool. The purple I think would play off the teal really well and make it very visually interesting. So yeah. Let's see. Is rerolling one Jack in the chat? I have no idea. I'm not sure. He might be driving home right now. Let's see. Where the Fire Slayer's at? Jack has Fire Slayers. He owns them. I painted them and then I sold them to him. So that is where they is. Let's see. Question: does Jack do stuff on his own channel? As far as talking about events and stuff like that, they haven't yet, but I believe that they want to get into it. At some point, I haven't been down to their houses in a while because I haven't, frankly, had a fully painted army to play on the games with, but at some point I will. And I'll be down there and we're going to set up Jack to do some live streaming and that kind of stuff so he can get in there and do his own shows and stuff like that. Doug, why is Sigmar angry with Nagesh at the start of the Age of Chaos? At the start of the Age of Chaos. It is my understanding that at the start of the Age of Chaos, they are not enemies. Hold on, let me just double check my brain here. Because they did fight together for a while, and eventually what happened was... Oh, okay. So, like, Chaos started to poke through in big ways before what we would call commonly the Age of Chaos. It culminated in a big battle where the forces of good were going to ultimately, like, I don't know if once and for all is really the right term, but put a huge kibosh on chaos coming into the realms, and it depended on all of the gods showing up and fighting together. And what happened was Nagesh thought to himself, well, if I don't show up to the battle, the chaos forces will come in, they'll punk, take out Sigmar, and then I, being as strong as I am, because Nagesh always thinks he's super powerful, will assert my dominance over all those dead bodies that just laid waste after that huge epic battle, raise them all up, and I will defeat chaos on my own and be sole ruler of the realms. It was kind of like a power play, right? You sell out your partner to die and benefit from their death, that kind of stuff. So that happens, and so the Battle of the Burning Skies, which is right in the beginning of the battle of the Age of Chaos, goes down. Sigmar loses. He accidentally gets tricked and throws Galmaraz, and they suffer a critical blow. This is when Sigmar's like, I'm going to go hide in Azir and then kind of work out a new solution to all this, meaning the Stormcast project. And before he does that, he's like, I'm super pissed that Nagesh didn't join me on the battlefield, and so he goes, tears a hole through Shyish, hunting down Nagesh. Ultimately doesn't reach him in time, pulls back, seals up his ear. So the whole reason they don't like each other is because Nagesh tried to make a power play, sold him out, didn't show up at the Battle of the Burning Skies. Let's see. Michael Hammond, hope you guys are ready to see 3 Bloodthirsters next time I see you at an event. Oh, I'm so excited to see that. I'd be more excited to see 3 Skull Cannons post nerf, because I just like that unit, but I understand nobody else does. As with many units in this game that I like and nobody else does, people who know how to play this game much better than I understand what is good and what is not. And I'm just like, this is cool. It eats people mid-battle and spits out their skulls. That is so metal. You had me at eats people. Let's see. I'm painting my Volkite Berserkers finally. Only paint 10 as allies for Dispossessed. Sweet. Volkite Berserkers are legit still. One of my favorite mechanics in the game, and I know Blood Warriors have it now, Volkites do, is the whole like, hey, when you kill this unit, you kill a model from this unit, it gets to pile in and make an attack. It's just one of my favorites, because it just makes me feel like even if you just smash that, my opponent smashes that unit and just destroys them, I still get to play with my toys, right? They get to pile in and do something. That's kind of fun. It's much less fun to have a unit that, like, Daughters of Cain can speed across the board, but they also get taken off of the board pretty quick as well. Let's see. Question. The Elves imprisoned Senesh, if I remember correctly. Sigmar did not like this idea, so the other gods found out they imprisoned Senesh anyways. I don't see that ending well. Yes, my current understanding, and I have to go reread things, and I'm hoping they reiterate the story during the Hedonites of Senesh book, which I feel like they have to. To my knowledge, I don't know if Sigmar knows that they have Senesh tucked away. I think that is like the ultimate secret. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. If Sigmar knows for a fact that Senesh is being held captive. Now, as far as would he be happy about that? No, I don't think so. I think he would seek to destroy him, or at least reduce him to like whatever Cain is, right? In terms of like just a super broken god that has no influence. But I know that no one on the Pantheon trusts or gets along with Marathi or Malarian. It's an allies of convenience type thing. Tyrion shows up quite a bit, and Thecla show up quite a bit. Well, I should say Thecla, as like the Forbidden Power teaser that we have is that Thecla's put some kind of spell on these vaults, so that means at some point he was working with Sigmar, so they have to at least be trusted on some level. Would kind of be my understanding. But yeah, what were formerly Dark Elves really don't, they're not buddy-buddy. Sigmar doesn't know. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't think he did, but to my knowledge, it's like the best kept secret in the realms. Let's see. Let's see. Question: what is your favorite unit you've never used in an army that you sold? What is your favorite unit you've never used in an army that you sold? Oh, it's like I had an army, I played it, but there's this one unit that I really liked that I never got a chance to try. Unit that I never saw. Now I gotta think of the armies I've actually sold. Maybe well, in terms of models, I never actually owned or painted any of the Karak Acolytes, even though I had a Demons of Tzeentch army. So I could have done a Tzeentch thing and had Karak Acolytes in it, but I didn't. Beyond that, I can't think of anything. I mean, I haven't sold off the Slaves to Darkness. I said I've never used a War Shrine. I have it, but I never used it. I don't know. Democles, heyo, over on Twitch. I don't know. That's a good question. That's a hard one. You stumped me with that. Armies that I'm trying to think of, just armies that I played. I played everything that Fire Slayers had to offer with the last book. Like I've tried every unit. Oh, you know what it is? Oh, well, no, I haven't sold off the Carriage and Overlords. I was going to say the Ironclad, the big ship. I think it's the Ironclad. I'm not sure. But yeah, the big ship is a unit from a faction that I haven't played yet. But I haven't sold those off. Actually, the goal for my Stormcast here is actually to paint up like 1,000 points so I can actually start using the Carriage and Overlords in like a combined order army. Sweet. Okay. Let's see. We sold the Beastman. Kinsey, question: what is the difference between Tyrion and Thecla? Do they have distinctive features that differentiate them? Yes, they do. Tyrion is this proud and aggressive warrior type, very melee focused. He's the mover and shaker of men, so to speak. Your classic kind of commander, right? Think, I don't know, Alexander the Great type, right? Who are just a coordinator of armies and mover of people, inspirer of stuff like that. Whereas Thecla is gaunt, sickly, physically inadequate, kind of. But his thing is he's the mental aspect of power. Like he is a master wizard. He does magic like the rest of us breathe, kind of thing, and kind of is empowering in that way. And so that's kind of they're a tag team. They conflict with one another quite a bit with how to conduct themselves and their armies. But ultimately, they're kind of bound together in fate. Blob that on. Good old paint. This will be enough for all of it. So yeah, that is a very like surface level difference. Let's see. Say Stardrake. Stardrake. Hello, Friendship Wizard and Democles. Let me pull these guys back in. Oh, she's done. We don't need to do anything with her. Okay, she's my test model. And so now we're just doing the extreme highlights on the white to really break up those folds and wrinkles. And this is certainly the quickest step of them all, just because it's just making a series of nice white lines. Yeah, I remember when I got into fantasy battles, like I devoured all the lore I could find on Thecla and Tyrion. Thecla is my jam. Which, like I was really at one point I did own a few Deepkin models, and I got rid of them. I did a video about that. I just really wasn't happy with the way they released them. And but the more I think about it, it's like, man, like I do love Teclis. Like I want I'm holding off on the hope that they give him like an army of what he would consider a success. Like what would the true sons of Teclis be like? I think that'd be cool. I mean, he also wins the Deadbeat Dad Award for millennia because of ditching the Deepkin. But what would a knowing the mutations and that kind of stuff that like the Marathis elves have, that kind of stuff, like what would true sons of Teclis be like? Let's see. Steve Keen. I meant to say Star Drake has a cool unit you've never had for an army you sold. Oh, actually, that's actually a super solid point. I didn't consider Stormcast because I'm holding them in my hands. Stormcast units that I like. Knight Venator, whatever the bow guy is. I like him. I've never owned him. But yeah, Star Drakes are legit. I actually saw my first one in person at the event I went to, and they're massive. I did not think that they were that big. But, I guess they gotta have a base size to match the price tag. Seems fair. Okay, he's good. Let's see. How is the store sell-off going? It's going well. We sold 50 mats, which is cut the amount of stuff in the storage thing in half, and then I have infinite magnets, so we're never gonna sell out of those, to be honest with you. I reached out to a local store and I was like, if I just like damn near give you product, will you put it on your shelf? Just take it out of my hands. Hadn't gotten back to me yet. But they are busy folks. Sorry, I'm just doing the detail lines here. I don't mean to be so quiet. What else? Night Vendor Tyrion Allure. Yes, if you are not watching, listening, or reading Black Talon with us, first mark, there is a Night Vendor character in there. Teclis is still a better father than the God Emperor. Didn't one of them marry a Lariel in the old world? I wonder if any of that still lingers. I don't recall. Actually, my memory on Fantasy Battle is a little hazy. If I'm not mistaken, I thought Tyrion did. Tyrion and Lariel weren't married, but they were lovers. Okay, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. Let's see. Cold Shoulder, listening while at work, just saying hi. Excited for the pre-order for Senesh. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, I knew it was coming up soon because they don't preview stuff that they're not, like, pretty much ready to share. But I actually thought it was going to be, like, another, like, 2 or 3 weeks. But I am pumped as well. I don't know. I think the fact that Senesh is going to end up being kind of like orcs were in 40k. If you don't know, like basically orcs were the best of some of the best of the non-codex armies out there. and they got a book, and then they just got turned to 11 because all the people who have been playing orcs just because they like orcs suddenly had tools at their hands and had spent a year disciplining themselves on how to be really, really good at this army that didn't have a whole lot of rules for it. And then you give them those rules, and they're like instantly starting at an 11. It's just been really fun to see. I'm very curious to see what kind of spell lores and allegiance bonuses and that kind of stuff they get. They pretty much confirmed that they're going to stick with the pretenders, seekers, and all that stuff like that, if I'm not mistaken. I thought they did. Let's see. Patrick Hardigan, I'm going to order a mat soon. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. And just so you know, if you order a mat, it'll go out closer to the end of the month. Let's here. The fact that you mentioned going to church today reminded me of how my college social circle seemed to be a lot of ministers who were tabletop gamers. Nice. More of them should be. The lore in these games asks a lot of hard questions. New to AOS here. Legions of Nagesh player. I really like your lore videos, starting collected box breakdowns. Thank you so much. Yeah, they were fun to do. Death is always a fun faction to talk about. For sure. Nagesh is just he's a great villain. Oh man, when Bonesplitters get their battle tome, I'm going to be so happy. Oh my gosh, me too. I want Bonesplitters to come back in a way that doesn't involve the Cunning Ruck. By that I mean, I don't want a crutch. I don't want like a one. This is how you play Bonesplitters if you want to win, the cookie cutter type thing like they had when the Cunning Ruck was super big. Which I don't think the Cunning Ruck is scary anymore. I think there's scarier things out there, but what I mean is I want other ways to win. And other ways for people to be scared of Bonesplitters. Although, you know what's going to happen, dude, honestly? Right before they get a book, someone's going to win, like, Nova with them or something stupid like that. Like, same thing that happened with Seraphon winning... Was it Adepticon? No, yeah, it was Adepticon. And I don't follow tournament stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, someone was just like, hey... Nobody noticed how awesome these rules are for the last 2 years, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to win. That's exactly what's going to happen. People are going to be like, whoa, this guy's so amazing. Now, it'd be really amazing if it was that same guy. The same guy took like Seraphon and then came back with Bonesplitters. That'd be so cool. But before Skaven got a battle tome, one of the few factions that had like wizards that could do just a ton of... One of the earliest factions, I'll say it that way. One of the earliest factions that could do like a lot of like multiple spells, like one spellcaster that can cast multiple spells and was cheap enough to spam was the Wargog Prophet, their leader dude. And he was legit. He's a super good unit. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. I actually just got Nagesh. I'm working on it now. Sweet. Doug, was the Heart of Winter short story good? I actually didn't finish it. I got distracted by something else. So let someone else chime in with that. But I hear good things about it. Basically, I was trying to read them in order, like their numerical order. And I got part of the way through the new Go Trick one, and I was like, I have to stop because I think I need to listen to the audiobook before I can really enjoy this. And so I was like, I need to pause, and so that's kind of where I've been stuck at. But honestly, now that I'm trying to listen to Black Talon First Mark, the one we're doing for the book club this month. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try audiobooks again just to see. And I don't think I'm an audiobook guy. I'm really struggling to listen to it. Mainly because it's probably not bad to listen to, but because I want to do it for like a book club format, I have to keep re-listening to sections of it to like take notes on like, I like when this character did this, but if I just let it play, then I'll forget which character did X, Y, Z, and that kind of stuff. So it's not really the book format for me. Let's see. Happened with Flesh Eaters too. Yep, they just out of nowhere walked up and won with a super ancient book, and people were like, "What?" And I love that kind of stuff. Admittedly, they're super. Like, they are lists designed to do one thing amazingly well. And part of it is that people, the idea like they can win with those things because no one sees it coming. It's really good, but it only happens once. Like once it's in the meta, the ethos, whatever like that, like people can plan for it. But sometimes it's just really fun when someone walks up with something you've never seen before, and you're like, if you walked up to a tournament with like an ale guzzler gargant, people are gonna be like, what does that do? Because no one's ever seen it. Let's see. Doug, how strong are the hosts of Senesh? Right now, before book, I mean, the book's coming out, so how strong are they now? They're super good as is without a book. So I'm kind of terrified to see how well they do with it. It's aggressive speed and some cool abilities that make them hard to hit. It's a mixture of speed and debuffs to your opponent, I think, are the biggest things. But, like I said, I mean, honestly, based on the way that they did the Fireslayer book with, like, gutting what existed and then rewriting it stuff from the ground up, like, I'm not even willing to make assumptions anymore about what factions will be like. I assume, like, because of the nature of Slanesh's lore, they'll still be fast and aggressive. But, I mean, in terms of, like, the things that they're best at, I have no idea. I'm sure we'll see some disappointed Slaanesh players that don't see, they don't agree with how they brought those visions to life kind of thing, but that's alright. It happens every time. I really just hope that they kind of stay at the same kind of like power level-ish as the other current books. Give me something to compete with, not Gristlegore. Gristlegore has some fundamental problems that are really, really good. But, let's get the factions. Let's see. Would something like objective secured in a wizard be enough to make Beast Claw Raiders viable? Well, I don't know the faction in and out, I'll be honest with you. So preface everything I say with that. What I would really love for Beast Claw Raiders to be viable, objective secured is a cool thing. That'd be fine. In addition to that, something kind of like how the Skaven have an allegiance ability that says, hey, when you take Battle Shock for Skaven-tied units, for every 10 models, they count as having +2 bravery rather than +1. So it changes, the way bravery works. I would love it if Beast Claw Raiders and Ogres in general, honestly, had the ability to, like, when you're counting up the number of models that are covering an objective, each model in this army counts as 2. So like your 2-man pack of Mournfang counts as 4 dudes on an objective, right? I think that would certainly go a long way, because then if you have them and a hero standing by, it kind of adds up. It at least thins the numbers out to make it a bit more reasonable. And they've been talking about objectives specifically in allegiance ability, not allegiance ability, but in rule books more and more, where they normally wouldn't. Let's see. Donald, in reply to your death being like being fun to talk about comment, I agree. Nagesh is my favorite character, as well as Arcan, my current general. The Death Rattle Night Haunt just look amazing to me. Yeah. Super fun stuff. I enjoy I think Nagesh week was one of my favorite weeks to do, to be honest with you, because everything he has going on is just so interesting. Like he has all these little plots and plans, and they're all gonna fall apart, and they all ultimately are terrible ideas, but they're just so fun. I like that. He's honestly what it comes down to is he is a very active participant in the narrative, where other gods like Gorka and Morka really aren't. I've got some paint on her hair. That's all right. They're not nearly as active with the events as they're transpiring. There's rumors that Gorka and Morka is doing stuff, but honestly, nothing's happened. So, and even Alario, she also has a model, but I don't think she is a mover and shaker in the same vein as Nagesh is. I think he takes the cake on being personally involved in what's going on in the realms. Well, made a few happy accidents, as Bob Ross would say in this one. That's all right. We'll clean her up. Let's see. It is confirmed no Mortals of Slaanesh are planned for this release. And it has a few people disappointed. I mean, people are always going to be disappointed. I understand. I do understand that one. I really do. But I also understand the idea of like give everyone lore and give everyone an army book that like lets them play the game at the same level. If we have to wait for models for everything, this will be miserably long, and that's just how I feel about it. It's pick your poison, right? Are people going to be disappointed in what you released because you didn't have models for what they want, or do you swallow the pill of people just not getting a Slaanesh book for another 2 years because they just didn't think to develop those next? I don't know. There's no winning. There's just not. Let's see. Wounds on an objective as the ogre rule. Interesting. Question: would you ever buy and paint a creature caster model, or are there non-GWs that you meet models that you want? Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't surf the web for other model makers, so I don't know of many. I've seen creature catcher stuff. If you're asking me, like, am I a GW model only kind of guy? No, I'm not. I'll paint anything. I just don't see a lot of the other stuff, so. But if someone could point out to me, I mean, honestly, like, the only stuff that I ever really look for in terms of like actively searching for other things is like heads, backpacks, that kind of stuff. That's about it. Okay. Okay, back in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it at all. So Ben, Beastclaw Raiders idea for objectives: bigger is better. Only models with base size larger than Beastclaw Raider models can capture the objective. That's fun. It does require everyone to strictly follow the base size guide, which I'm not sure they're willing to do that yet with AOS. The base sizing guide is a suggestion for many hobbyists, but it's not a rule. But I do like it. Like the idea of, yeah, like an objective secured that's based on the fact that they're so stinking big. Almost done with this lady. Guy, whatever he is. Doesn't look perfect, but it is certainly 3 foot fabulous. Let's see. I wish Alariel did more. I'm a bit biased, and the core book established she loves her little realm more than anything, and that's okay. You know, she's got her lawn, and she wants kids to get off of it, and that's pretty much, that's her story. But I agree. Hopefully, whenever they redo the Sylvaneth book, they'll make her a more active participant. I mean, when she came out, they had the whole War of Life, Seasons of War, or whatever it's called, campaign. That was all kind of themed around her, and that was kind of cool. But since then, just radio silence. All right. Nagesh seems more involved, or very involved, sometimes more so than others in the original Pantheon. Do you think that has any bearing on why he has a model and say Sigmar doesn't? I think they come up with models first, and they came up with Nagesh for the end time. Well, for fantasy battles. But I think with the way that they've written the lore, I'm not sure we'll ever see a Sigmar model. That's not true. They're making like Night Titans and crap like that. I'm sure at some point, when they run out of other ideas, they'll come up with a Sigmar model. But honestly, I don't know how I would envision Sigmar on the battlefield. Like as far as like what his role in battle was. Like he has to be a pretty potent melee fighter. He doesn't have Galmaras. He gave that to Celestia Prime. So I don't know, potent fighter. But I think if we're gonna match his lore, I think a lot of his stuff should be buffing his troops because that's kind of what he focused on since the Battle of the Burning Skies. He was like, I'm not fit to lead because I have bouts of uncontrollable anger. So I'm going to focus on army making rather than army leading. So I'm not sure how you like bring that to the tabletop is what I'm saying. Okay. Alariel's and get off my lawn proceeds to make more lawn. Exactly. Let's see. Mogwai Man, technically, Senesh does have mortal options, Chaos Warriors and Marauders. Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure whatever Chaos Undivided stuff will probably work for Slaanesh as well. And that's the thing. Honestly, like, I know people will be very disappointed, but I do feel like all the things that the Host of Slaanesh section is missing are made up for in the Slaves to Darkness section. Like, tankier dudes to hold objectives while all your other guys on Seekers rush forward and Demoness slash people apart. So, like, I get why they made the decision. Not sure if I like it. Like, I would rather have mortal models, but yeah. Let's see. People just want to bang the Juan Diaz sculpts. They always harp on it. I like it. How big should Sigmar be? I'm gonna say shorter than Nagesh, taller than Alariel. Like Alariel is actually not that big. The beetle is that big, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean, though. Brett, hey Doug, big fan. Oh, I can't stay. Just want to say hi. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello and goodbye. Once all the chambers will be released, he'll be the new emergency button. I like that. I dig it. Would Sigmar model have Gal Maraz, or would that just be Celestin Prime? Technically Celestin Prime has it, like just period. Donald, I agree with you. So I personally see the Celestin Prime as his model. He is the avatar of Sigmar's will on the battlefield. Is kind of how I view his role. Let's see. Do you wish Celestin Prime had more of a character? Oh, it's a matter of preserving the mystery. Yeah, I would like them to shed a little light on the Celestin Prime. And I do want Mortal Senesh stuff. I just also want them to have a book in lore sometime this decade. My assumption is at some point their art team also wants that. Let's see. But who knows? Maybe they're gonna like gauge the success of this release and gonna be like, yeah, people really do like Senesh. Because everyone will say, I like it, but then, they have to base their stuff off sales figures and numbers. Let's see, they found a wig shop. Has anyone else noticed that new Demonette models tend to have a lot more hair than the older ones? Yeah, man. They hit the theater costume department hard. That was the first keep they took was the Dwarven costume shop in the Mortal Realms. Okay. Sweet. So there's everyone. The white robes are done on all of them. Question. What do you think the probability of new Sylvaneth Tome is with Loon Curse coming out? What new models do you think they get in that box? I think the probability is high, to be honest with you. As far as what they would get in it, probably something like a new hero. Would be my initial guess. What I'd like to see is like a not a named hero, but like a hero lieutenant, whatever version of a Kurnoth Hunter. I think that'd be really cool. Possibly a wizard. That's what I would like. I have no information to base that off of, but that's what I would like. Let's see. I'd be very surprised if the Sylvaneth release doesn't accompany Loon Curse. Yeah. I would love it if they did these two, I don't know, army boxes, kind of like the Carrion Empire, and just use that as a vehicle to like reinvigorate armies and sell them out. I'm not sure why goblins are there. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they made way more squid kits than they thought they were going to. Let's see. They need to shed more light on Azir as a whole. The main protagonist realm is still so unexplored. I agree on that. The only time we ever really got, I think the most information we have on Azir is when it's getting totally wrecked by the Necroquake in Soul Wars. And then also, oddly enough, in the Beasts of Chaos book, when we find out that the Thunderscorned used to live there, and it was their native home, and that Sigmar is the guy who came in and shoved them out, which is like, makes him not a good guy. Like, I've never felt so much sympathy for a villain. Because he just tore them from their home. Not saying they're great, but that's the most information we have, and it's kind of crummy. Let's see. I want to see Hish and Ulgu get lore before Azir. I'm trying to think how I would rate those in terms of importance. Azir is important, and I'm surprised we don't have it because this is our main protagonist. It's the Lightning Man from Azir. So it's kind of interesting that we don't have more information on that. I will admit. Let me grab some wash here. I need good old Seraphim Sepia. I'm just more amazed that we've gone this many years without more information about them as our protagonists. What we're going to do now is just carefully wash all of the gold. I think Senesh being freed, we'll see the Shadow and Light Elves coming out as we see Malarian and Tyrion coming back into the war. Oh, it's sure as heck like that. I don't know if I necessarily want them at the same time. Like, that might be a good thing to pace out a bit. But it would be really, really cool. I'm not sure if any army... Oh, here's the thing. Like, our Deepkin Tecla's army. And I would be so interested to see if they say yes. And he doesn't get like a... I don't know. Not a proper faction, but a faction that like he's proud of. That'd be really messed up. If the only children he has, he like abandoned and was about to destroy. Here. What do you think the Senesh terrain will do? I don't know. That's a really good question. What will the Senesh terrain do? Maybe increase speed if you're standing next to it? Like you have to start near the terrain piece, and the distance that can be towards the center line or towards your opponent is heavily monitored. Like the allegiance ability tells you how close it can be, that kind of stuff. And it gives you like a speed bonus. Maybe just a bonus to your ecstasy points or whatever they are. Like, what are they called? What are the points you get for summoning? Can't think what they're called. But yeah. That's a tough one. I'm bad at guessing the terrain stuff, to be honest with y'all. Like, I thought the Fire Slayer one was going to be super different. Because I think Forge, I think weapons, I don't think, like, better prayers. But I actually like that more based on the prayers we saw. Let's see. All the gold makes you think it's a tar pit, like it lures enemy units in. Depravity points. Thank you, Michael. Yeah, it's interesting. Minus to hit. My goodness, but they have a chance to rewrite everything simultaneously. You know what I don't want? I don't want a bunch of minuses to hit. I think that makes games straight up unfun, if I'm perfectly honest with you, because It just makes more dice rolls where nothing happens, and I know that Sam Pearson, who was in charge of the Beast of Chaos book and also the Fire Slayers, when he was talking about their design process for them, their whole goal was to get rid of dice rolls that do nothing. And so I want -1 to hit. I'm sure it'll be in there because like debuffing is kind of their jam, but I want it to be used sparingly. I never want a moment when I'm playing a game of dice and miniatures to have to legitimately wonder, is it worth the time it takes to roll these dice? Like, no, it should be exciting. I should always have a reason to be like, yeah, I'm excited to roll my dice. I just think about stuff like Neferata's bubble that she can spam, double down on, get you all a bunch of minuses to hit her, and just make it not fun. Let's see. Or are you doing the Thousand Suns blue paint scheme? No, I'm actually doing the standard, what they suggest for Celestial Vindicators, which is teal. So it's Sotek green and then highlighted with a little bit of Temple Guard blue. And that's it. I actually didn't do Sotek green. I actually did a little bit of matching from Army Painter. And their Sotek green equivalent is called Hydra Turquoise. And it's nice. I just wanted to start experimenting with other paints. Like I use a lot of GW stuff, but some folks were asking me about like different paints to use and things like that, and I just like, gotta educate myself a little bit. Gotta try this stuff out. I'm already accused of being a GW fanboy, but I can at least experiment with other stuff so I can defend myself. Okay, I think that's all the gold on him. You know what? Missed. Little tabard or like scroll works they're all carrying. I always forget to get them. Cool. You think we'll ever have Slaaneshi ogres? I have no idea, but I don't think it'll happen anytime soon. I do miss Chaos Ogres, that kind of stuff. Honestly, what I would like to see at some point, and I mean this sincerely, I think humans would be the best candidate, but like a cross Grand Alliance army that can play around with keywords in that way. I think that would be something really special. I think it would have to be balanced, like in a way that no other army has been balanced, because now at that point you're playing with many different allegiance abilities and ally options and that kind of stuff. Like it gets pretty intense. But the fact that humans and ogres, but like what I'm thinking of is just the most basic general stuff that you would expect to be in multiple Grand Alliances, or just everywhere, and I don't know. I think that'd be really cool. And if they could find a way to balance that, then they could be like, yes, here, have some Chaos Ogres, and here's, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. They can really get into doing that. But it's a hard process, I'll be the first to say. Cross Grand Alliance, Order and Chaos stand against Death. Yeah, I was more thinking Order and Death stand against Chaos, but yeah, totally. It's the same thing. No, I flicked my model and I ruined my perfect white shoulder pad, and that's okay. I'm sorry, I got some Ultron grid right there. It's gonna dry. That's okay. Happy accident number 2. It's the only thing about painting white armor and stuff like that, and you gotta gotta be careful. Which I am not, typically. You paint very recklessly and quickly, because that's how I crank out armies, but they tend to look okay. Okay. Let's see. I was hoping Inith Deakin was going to be a death army with the allies. Or yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I vote Tomb Kings for order and death. I'm not super on board Tomb Kings coming back. Controversial statement of the night, but I can definitely see that. Viewership tanks after that statement. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be really, really cool if every faction had, like, you know, their star guys who are just like, you know, Stormcast just only ever fight for Sigmar. I'm cool with that. But then just like a faction that was like, we're just kind of here and we fight whoever's protecting us. Like there's the humans who think that Nagesh is the one true god just because that's what their local lore is, and when chaos came he defended them, that kind of stuff. Let's see, got them. Let's see. I'd like to see an expansion on Soulblight. Yeah, totally. I don't know. So, in a lot of ways they can go with future army designs like that. You know, honestly, what it is, it's design space. It's design space that when they find the wording for it and a way to balance it, I'm sure at some point they will go into it. But all that stuff, it takes, you know, we don't think of game rules as being something you research, but it absolutely is. Because you need to write rules in a way that is intelligible to everyone who plays it accurately, and then balance that, meaning that nothing's too strong, and then make that, you know, like they have like a little Sam Pearson said they have like a little booklet that is like, hey, if we want to talk about, like, you know, reroll ones, this is the exact wording we use because that's how we've, for lack of a better term, trained our audience to interpret this. And that kind of stuff is important. So understanding how people read and perceive rules is its own little thing. I'm gonna have a sip of my Moscow Mule here. Easter drink of choice. Let's see. I like the idea of Shade Glass Construct Army marching out of the Shade Spire as the new not quite Tomb Kings. I would be on board for that. Make them something different, you know what I mean? Like, don't just bring back Tomb Kings. Make them something wholly unique. I think that'd be cool. I honestly, I would love to see a faction that maybe isn't exclusively but uses constructs and have that be a keyword. I think that would be really, really neat. Maybe it'll be cog people that were designed by Grugny or something crazy like that. I did notice that in the new Firestar's Battle Tome, they do allude to the fact that Grugny might be working on a new race, which is kind of a cool possible foreshadowing. Wouldn't that kill the Shadespire story since the Warbands are trying to leave it? I don't think so. Having the people who are staying there, meaning the spirits trapped in Shadespire, and having them know a way out, but not being able to get there because their spirits are trapped in stuff, wasn't necessarily the fact. Doesn't negate the fact that other people don't know those ways out. I guess depends on how they want to go with it. It might not. I don't know. Let's see. Give me 1 second, I'm just digging for a paint. Let's see. Question: which god was it that Urgold comes from, and aren't they dead? Grimnir, fire. Sorry, god of the fire slayers is where Urgold comes from. He is not dead. Basically, he smashed so hard into a god beast as he was picking a fight with one. That he and this molten dragon called Volcatrix both exploded, and when they kind of merge their parts together, you end up with a bunch of gold that is infused with the power of a god. And as the power within that gold is expelled, meaning you put it in a Fire Slayer's weapon or skin or whatever, and he starts using it, that essence of Grimnir is released into the realms, and he's able to theoretically reconstitute himself at some point. He's not dead. He's just in the process of making a comeback. All right. Well, let's see. Do you think we'll get Chaos Tainted Stormcast? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. Part of me, I think the closest that we'll get is something like a Lightning Geist by like Stormcast that break down during the reforging process. I think that would be super cool. But I'm not sure about full-blown Chaos equivalents. Donald, wouldn't that kind of leave Dispossessed left in the dust if their main god was like, I'm just going to make a new race and abandon them? I have no idea. That's an interesting question, though. How do they fit into that? I have no idea. I want to make that clear as far as the Dispossessed goes. Like that entry in the Fire Slayer's battle tome was vague that it could literally be referring to them, and we would never know it. Like it was that vague that we have no idea what they're talking about. So don't take that as something to get despondent about. Let's see. Question: did all the people from the old world that were infused with the winds of magic make it to the realms? Okay, so we have Tyrion. Thecla, I mean. Sigmar, Alariel, Nagesh, Malarian. Who was the orc that had the realm of beasts? Because it wasn't Gorka Morka. He wasn't a character. Grimgor Ironhide. Am I making that up? But there was an orc who had the wind of beasts onto him, and Grimgor. Thank you, Magwaman. Yeah, he made it there. Yeah, what they did not do was take those characters into the story, give them wind of magic, and now they're gods. What they did do was just like, when I started Age of Sigmar, they picked some of their favorite characters and made them gods, some of whom had the wind of magic, some of whom didn't. Grimgor Ironhide was an orc who was a super mega boss, crazy orc, who had the wind beasts on him. Doesn't exist. His kind of, equal, I guess you could say, is probably Gordrak, but they're not the same person. Gorka Morka wasn't a person who walked around during the end times. Yeah, so like Grimnir is a good example. He wasn't there at all, and he just kind of, boom, oh my god. Remind me, I don't remember if Tyrion, I don't think, had anything on him, because I don't think he did. Right, because Sigmar was heavens, and I thought Thecla was light, but I don't remember Tyrion having anything specifically. I don't know, but yeah, so they just instead of trying to find those like links that bring them back, they kind of just like picked a bunch of people. They're like, I like this character. This character is awesome. Maybe they like their character traits, their temperaments, how they would fit as gods in the new kind of pantheon, and just gobbled up a bunch of their best written characters and made them deities. It's kind of how it all went down. Yeah, the white fire from Ulrich. Yes, I do remember that. I remember when he takes that at the end of the End Times book. Totally. Let's see. I need... Hunting for Null Oil. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so Teclis stole from the Empire. Teclis had 2. Yeah, so at one point, Teclis is doling out winds of magic and assigning to them, and then right as the world was collapsing, somebody's wind of magic got loose, and so he tried to absorb a second one, and he kind of went Super Saiyan, and then he tried to absorb a third and exploded, and that's... Teclis just dies at the end of the End Times. It was pretty legit. I read that, and I was like, kind of bummed. Also the coolest way to go out that anyone has ever gone out. So, yeah, it was, I was going to say it's good times, but people were super pissed. I had a blast. I thought the End Times were great. But I didn't have, the years of emotional attachment to those characters and that kind of stuff. I was just coming into there late to the party, and I was like, oh, this is legit. Wait, how come nobody wants to talk about these books? Why is everyone so mad? Okay, just doing all the null oil washes on the handlebars, the weapons, and that kind of stuff. I believe Fire and Beast towards the end had no incarnate, and Teclis had to work with them. Okay, maybe that was it. Grimgor died, and a Slayer had the Wind of Fire but died. Yeah, honestly, the last... I mean, I'm sure people who read the End Times books, and it's been years now. I haven't touched them since I did the End Times lore video. But the last few chapters of that campaign got crazy because everyone is just dying all the time. And so it got hard to follow. So I'm sure my brain, who hasn't read it in 2 years, I'm sure I'm getting details mixed up, but because at that last scene when they're all fighting to stay alive, people are dying left and right. Winds of magic are flying to and fro. Yeah. Teclis died because he had taken Beast and Metal. That's what it was. Yeah, I am not a Warhammer historian. I'm just a passionate presenter, is what I tell people. I got a crap memory. Hey, Doug, I'm going to bed now, so I'll catch your lore videos and your future videos later. See ya, man. Have a good night. Let's see. Oh, got his belt. I still don't see why he's a Mortarch after that. Oh, sorry. Our old buddy Manfred had to mess everything up. Yeah, but they kind of I felt like in the End Times they made Manfred seem like a childish idiot, Whereas in AOS, he's much more cunning and intelligent. Like, I mean specifically the End Times campaign made him seem that way. I know the books that are dedicated to the vampire lore histories, like Manfred is very cunning and very intense as a character. But I don't know. It seemed weirdly out of character for some of the stuff he was doing. There was a faint slimmer of hope that like the good guys could prevail, and then Manfred straight up killed people to make sure that wouldn't happen, thinking he could find a way to seize control in the moment. Because he's a turd. Not a team player. He's the coolest, but you know what I mean. Is there going to be a new lore video for Fire Slayers? Yes, I have notes for 2 of them. They will start on Wednesday. Unfortunately, with the holiday, things got delayed and I didn't have it quite ready for tomorrow morning. But yes, there will be 2 videos for them. One that updates their lore, because I already did the lore week then, and then the lore for the individual units didn't change at all. So we'll update that, and then do a separate video going into the different lodges, because now they've actually flushed out. The old Fireslayer book had, like, calling it a paragraph of lore for each lodge is generous, but it was just like 3 or 4 sentences. But yeah, let's see here. Sam Cook, the end times are pretty cool. Would be a lot better regarded if GW communicated better so people realize that it was the grand finale for fantasy battles. I agree. There's no ifs. I do agree. No buts, I mean. I do agree. The fact that they didn't have the community page 5 years earlier is ridiculous for an international company. I agree. But like the community page to like share that kind of information and get people excited about what's going on, that kind of stuff. I also think that there were other ways to go about it than destroying the old world. They could have had a cataclysmic event and then just reintroduced, I don't know, maybe Archaon succeeds and there's a lot of ways to do it. I would have done something different. I probably wouldn't have destroyed the old world, but they did what they did. Let's see. Adrian, question, if you don't mind the third one. No, ask as many as you want. I like to play good guys for the most part, but I want to not play Stormcast. What army is generally good guys that has actual GW support? Let me see. Let me pull up their website here. Good guys that has actual GW support. Well, you got your Fire Slayers. You got Carriage and Overlords, Sylvaneth, and Seraphon all have books. Free Peoples, I love the army for Free Peoples. However, I'm not sure how many times, how many of those units are going to carry over, like if they do decide to prune some stuff. So that one's a cautious buy. But, I mean, at our local game night, the other night I played against 2 Free People armies, and they can, my God, they can shoot for days, and it's fun. Yeah, I don't know. I think Seraphon are a hard one because if you're not into the lore, like if you don't dig their style, you're not ready to go all in on it, on the weirdness of it. Yeah, I understand. Good game. Warhammer always has good guys, just tough situations. I like that. Let's see. Idnith Deepkin, interesting. Idnith have to murder innocents to survive, so they aren't really good guy. I mean, you know, good is a very relative term. You see evil elf that steals souls. Maybe someone else sees cunning survivor. Let's see. Daughters of Cain and Fire Slayers. Yeah, got a few options we're all kind of listing off here. Are the Bloodbound in Blades of Corn? Yes, they are. Yeah, they decided instead of making demons books like they do for 40k, like just put all the god-specific stuff into one book, and I kind of appreciate that. Ooh, hot debate time. Are Deepkin better morally than Daughters of Cain? Dun, 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 dun. Kenzie threw down the gauntlet and said that they are. I'm gonna say no, because your average Daughter of Cain doesn't know that she's like killing people just to buff Marathi. They think they're doing a truly religious act for their god. Under false pretense, of course. And that Marathi is certainly not a good character. I think Marathi, we can all agree, is a pretty morally bankrupt person. But I'm not sure. I don't know. The sincerity and zeal of the Daughters of Cain is tough to argue, man. They do good things. They do clear out chaos and help build settlements and stuff like that. I don't know. Missed some of the handles on some of these guys. Got them. Got her. Sweet. This is a fun debate. Okay. Oh, right here. What's one great? Idneth killed survive. I like it. Anyway, Adrian, to your point, yeah, there's a few things. I do wish there were more human good guys. Or I don't know. More just classic good guys, we'll say that. But hopefully some of these folks gave you some good answers or stuff to think about at least for your next project. It is fun to be the good guy sometimes. I've been playing Chaos Armies for a long time. Also, the Daughters of Cain treat their males as a slave caste, so that's a bummer. I think bummer, that is the best word for it. That's a real Debbie Downer. I love it. I'm having too much fun with this. Yeah, I think Sylvaneth is a pretty cool choice, to be honest with you. Okay, now we're bringing the animals into this. I dig it. I love it. This is a fun thing. Let's see here. So as far as what's left on these guys, not a whole lot. I have to go back with my my teal and kind of touch up some places that I accidentally tapped with the white cloth and the metal. But they're almost done. I got some extreme highlights to do on I did Screamer Pink for the kind of tabard leather strips coming down. But I got them. I got the little vials. I need everybody's belt hook. I don't know, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot to do. That's good. Let me grab my subtip. Let's see. I'm worried about transporting them. Stuff for Sylvaneth, all that spiky, dangly bits. Yeah, transporting stuff it's honestly it's an unfortunate reality with a whole lot of armies. It's a problem with many of them. So many armies in this game are these are fantastic models, but God help you if you try to take them anywhere. Slaves to Darkness are good guys. Trying to take out the Stormcast trash. I love it. It's interesting though. I don't feel. I don't know. Someday I'll do. I'll honestly, at some point, I definitely will do a Seraphon army. It's just a hard one because maybe the new book will rewrite them in a way, and I'm sure it will. After seeing the way that they kind of tonal change they went with Fire Slayers, I am sure that they will do some rewrites on the Seraphon book. So I have no doubts about that. But as is, they're a hard faction for me to get into because I can't relate. I can't relate to the ancient space lizard dude. You know what I mean? Like I struggle to build a cohesive story and that kind of stuff because I don't understand their motivations. They were so quote unquote secretive, meaning they just didn't tell us anything. I just found it difficult. But like I said, at some point I'm sure I will be doing a Seraphon army. Because dinosaurs. But yeah, on that, well, when, I don't know when, but when a Seraphon book drops, I think people are going to give that army a totally new look. Okay, what I'm doing right now is just basically looking for places where I accidentally tagged the teal with another color, which is not a ton of. But this is the cleanup phase of my batch painting method. I wish that I don't know. It's hard to say that I wish there were more Order armies because the Order gets a lot of love. I'll be honest. It gets a lot of love. But, not all of them are relatable or easy to build lore for. Plus, the thing with Sylvaneth, I can't get over like the price tag of the Sylvaneth Wildwood. I just don't want to buy terrain for an army. Actually, I should take that back. I don't mind the terrain thing for armies, but when certain armies can summon their terrain or add more to their army than they start with, rather than everyone else like, hey, you get a free Hearthstone, cool, yay. But the fact like them and Nurgle can just keep adding more and more. It's nuts. It's a lot to paint. Okay. To be honest with you, I think choosing this scheme was a good, proper challenge for myself. I'm glad I did it. I think this is going to be pretty darn good looking at the end. Alright. So as far as what I have, just to kind of keep the conversation going, as far as what I own, I have 40 Sequitors? The guy, I think here's my understanding, based on kind of what I pieced together with the collection of stuff that I have that I showed off in that video. I think what happened was He got into AOS with the Soul Wars set. Makes sense. It's a good onboarding point. A lot of people do it. Maybe he bought one or two of them, and then somebody else was getting out of Stormcast with those things, and he bought their collection. The reason I say that he also bought someone else's is because I ended up somehow with 2 sets of the Endless spells, and no one would ever need to buy one. Or I need to buy 2 of them. Unless there's no conversions or something like that, which there's no other conversions in these models, so I'm not quite sure what else I would use to explain that with. So, yeah, just a lot of Soul War stuff. A lot of Soul War stuff, and then randomly 20 Judicators. I'm like, okay. The bow guys. Who I do like. I do like Judicators. They get a bad rap online, but I don't mind them. The problem is I don't think they have a bad rap. I think that the Ballista is just so good. It just kind of outshines everything. Which is a Ballista problem, not a Judicator problem. Let's see here. Got... Let's see. Chat went super quiet. I blame my Tomb King's comment. So all I did for here is I put down, this is actually my favorite color transition. I'm going to be doing it quite a bit on the Griff Charger that the Lord Arcanum rides. If you throw down Screamer Pink, right, as a base, no, well, not as a base, but you build up a good layer of Screamer Pink, do a Wash of Caribou Crimson, and then you can transition that really well with Drakenhof Nightshade and give it this nice pink to purple effect, this nice transition. I did it with the, what did I do it on? Wargog Prophet, I think? Yeah, it worked out really, really well. I dig it. So I might put one more layer of Drakenhof when that one dries. But yeah, it works out pretty cool. All in all, I'm pretty happy with these guys. They're turning out. What's interesting is how different they look. I don't know if you guys experience the same thing. Like, the second I actually, like, get the bases black again, it makes all this stuff pop. So, like, looking at this guy, he doesn't look like the final product. The second you make the bases black, they just pop so much better. And you'd be like, oh, I did put a lot of work into that. It does look good. Yeah, what do I got left? I got the shoulder pad. Oh, missed a spot on him, on his head. There we go. Missed a touch up. There we go. Let's see. Push all of them up. Let's start getting those shoulder pads done. Dreadnought, I like your comment that Nurgle is the only good guy in both settings. That's funny. Nurgle was a strong contender when I was looking for in my next army. It came down, I think it was, for a little bit it was Nurgle and Stormcast and Skaven, Scryer specifically. And then the thing with Nurgle is, like, the trees deal, I'm not a huge fan of. But then also, like, I don't know, I feel like Nurgle gets played a lot. We actually have a top-notch Nurgle player in our local area named Carrie, and she is fantastic at it. Just, like, really good at playing the scenario game. I can't remember what she came in at Adepticon, but she did really, really well, considering that they have such a huge field. good. You got a shoulder pad? Yep. Let's see. Yeah, as far as I don't know. I didn't have any plans for the Stormcast until I started painting them. And you know what really is that like I got myself burnt out on Skaven, painting Skaven specifically, by doing 40 Plague Monks at once. But here I did 10 Sequitors, which I believe comes out to be almost the exact same amount of points. And I'm having a blast. So maybe that'll just be a painting thing. I don't know. But also, when I went to my game night last week, so I played Stormcast, and it was against Gloomspite Gitz. What was the other guy? Gloomspite Gitz, Skaven, and so we did the 2 versus 2, and my partner brought free people, which is always cool because I love seeing free people on the table. And yeah, it was just a real good time. But what I noticed was that like I got my deployment done super fast, packed up my models when I was done. I was out of there in no time, where everyone else was still like fighting to get their models together because they all had horde armies, and mine was like 25 guys, and I was like, yes, this is the best. So they might be worth keeping just for that. Just if I'm having a rough day, I'm like, I don't want to move 120 rats. And I'm pretty open to like different Stormcast builds, like going down a lot of different routes. The only thing that's kind of off the table for me is the shooting Stormcast. And that's because Jack plays it, and I don't want to step on his toes or get people in my local area super tired of it. Both those things would be bummers. I really hope that we're all painting and that my chat just didn't break. Let's see. All right. I do notice that the amount of thin layers, even though I thin my paint down quite a bit, it takes to get the shoulder pads that nice pure white. It does tend to blot out some of the detail on like the hammer icon, which is a real bummer. Hadn't considered that when I was painting them up. So let me ask you this, what we're all doing. What's everyone painting right now? I know there's one gentleman who said he was painting a Nagesh, I believe. I'm curious what everyone else is going on. If everyone has, done with family festivities and has a good time to get quite a bit done, that'd be kind of awesome. Let's see here. Here we go. Looking good. Let's see. almost done. All right. Forgive me. That loud clack sound in your ears. Let's see. What are we going to do next? We're going to grab that Screamer Pink. I'm going to mix a little bit up, and we're just going to do a brief highlight on the tabards and junk. Let's see, if somebody wouldn't mind putting something in the chat just so I know it works. I kind of blinked out there for a second. I'd love to keep conversation going. I always get, basically when I first started doing the live streaming stuff on the new rig, I had all kinds of trouble because if you go to certain pages that like, I'm not sure what it is, but something triggers the OBS system they have, and all of a sudden it like freaks out, and it's like, oh my god, the dog's trying to do too many things at once, and it shuts down my stream. It's been a bummer before. Let me see here. All right, what am I gonna... Give me one moment here. Oh, okay. Yep, super sorry everybody. I got my own video pulled up and I'm going to look at that for chat. For some reason my chat application like disconnected and all of a sudden it stopped working completely. So let me take a second and get caught up on everyone's comments. I promise I was not ignoring you. It was just really, really weirdly quiet. Let me see how far back I am. Oh man, I missed so much. I'm just gonna pick a point. Actually, I'm gonna pick a point right here. So Donald, bit off topic question: are faction-specific endless spells moved only by the player that summoned them, or do you still go back and forth? If it says predatory, it'll say. But if it's predatory, everyone gets a fair chance to use it. The new Corn Prayer and Knot spells and Fire Slayer Knot spells specifically have it written out that the player who summoned them, which means in the mirror match, even you don't get to move it even if you're the same faction, which is interesting. You think it would come down to who can pray harder, that kind of stuff. Throw on some really light lines there. Let's see. I'm just going to skip to get caught up until I see a question for me. Did you drop the Making a Beast Lord series? It's on pause right now. I'm still happy to talk about Beasts of Chaos, but honestly, I haven't seen anything really unique or fun coming out of them lately. Like I feel like there's a lot of the same types of armies. Kenzie McKeever question: any thoughts on lore for your Stormcast? Well, I know I want them to be what do you call it? Celestial Vindicators. As far as lore for my specific like chamber whatever, no. I mean, here's the thing. So I've had these models for about 72 hours, so I haven't like really taken the time to really dive into that. Here's the thing is like I don't memorize battle tomes, I just explore them and then that information immediately falls out of my head. So this week I've actually been trying when I can to kind of eye my way through the Stormcast Eternal battle tome again, just kind of refreshing myself on the lore, getting used to like who are the Celestial Vindicators, that kind of stuff. I know I want them to be, like, I want their flaw specifically to be the fact that they have like a bloodlust. If you don't know, the Celestial Vindicators basically where other Stormcasts were taken in moments of great faithfulness and courage against all odds. Anyone who's a Celestial Vindicator was someone who cried for Sigmar's aid when they were about to die, but not for salvation or anything like that. But they ask specifically for the strength to kill their enemies. And so it's like this very like aggressive, anger, vengeance-driven thing. Makes them not very wholesome as heroes. And I want to play that up, like almost how Blood Angels characters in 40k can like lose themselves to this bloodlust. In the same way, I think that would be really cool for a Stormcast chamber, because what it does is it makes it so that people who ally with you, when they can be friends with you, and then they see you fight, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to be friends with these guys. These guys are terrifying. And I think ultimately that's what a Stormcast should be, right? The good guys are the defenders of the realm, that kind of stuff. But then when they start like breaking apart at the seams because of whatever the reforging flaws are, like people should be like, oh no, this is bad. So, Benny Tree, I got to call it a night. Good night to you. Kenzie, question: thoughts on Black Talon the book, and thoughts on Black Talon the model? Would you want one? I don't know if I want Black Talon specifically because she's Hammers of Sigmar, but a Knight Zephyros is a cool thing. It's pretty cool. YouTube died again. Weird. That's so weird that it cut off the feed for my chat. Let's see. Sorry about that little delay here, buddy. I'm going to try and catch up here. Oh, I didn't mean to ignore everyone's questions. I'm so sorry about that. I'm catching up. Thoughts on the Black Talon book? I'm nearing the end of it. I really am enjoying it. It's a good read. Don't think of it as a Stormcast book, and don't think of it as a battle book, like about a specific event. It is a character profile on a very specific character who happens to be awesome. And so I'm enjoying it. Let's see. Adrian, I'm just surfing eBay, but on the phone, so I can't chat. Okay, makes perfect sense. Let's see. Cold Shoulder, I think when I get home, I start on my Senesh. Got 8 Fiends, 20 Plastic Demonettes, 28 Diaz Demonettes. Nice. 10 Seekers and an Exalted Chariot. And a Forge World Greater Demon of Slanesh. That is a massive pile of stuff to build. My goodness. Let's see. Andrew, what do you think is going to happen next in the Soul Wars story? Well, we know that this like forbidden power thing is coming out, where Sigmar sealed away something in a vault, but the binds of that seal are coming undone. Whatever that means. Just a moment. Let me grab some paint. Blue and blue. I'm going to put a blue glaze on the weapons and that kind of stuff towards the bottom. Make it look cool. So we don't really know. What I would like is basically if all the magics that Thecla has done start coming apart the seams, which includes but is not limited to the binds that hold Slanesh. Because I think that would be rad. As far as the implications for that, I have no idea, but I'm really, really pumped. Really, really pumped. What I really think would be cool is if the next chapter, so Forbidden Power, is, Nagesh made his power play to try and seek control of the realms, and now this is the smack back, right? Like it's all the factions getting in there and being like, who the heck are you? And it's the chaos is resurgent and that kind of stuff. I think that would be neat as all get out. So I pulled up the chat. Like I actually went to my own page, pulled up the chat, so I should be able to follow along now. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see. I kind of expected the discovery of the burden of being a Stormcast to be a central bit in Black Talon's relationship with their companions. Don't meet your hero, kid. I like it. Do you have favorite theories on Arcan the Black? I.e. that he's not real, that he's real and Nagesh is a subconscious projection. I have never heard any of those theories. As far as I know, he is a real person. He was a servant of Nagesh in the old world and was brought forth because sometimes you just need a guy who gets things done. None of those games that Neferata or Manfred play. You just need a guy to get stuff done. And I'm that guy at my office. Let's see. But no, I never heard any theories like that. I mean, maybe it's something that comes up like in a death-focused Facebook group or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. How do I get the at thing to highlight people? Seriously, I've done it once before. I don't know. I don't usually use Google Chat a whole lot. I always tend to miss the people that I want to watch live. Let's see. Six Gunner, my local store organized a painting competition and finally finished my piece last night. I converted a black knight as a white walker diorama. That sounds awesome. Super dig it. I'm not personally a Game of Thrones fan, but I like when people do like that kind of like cross fandom art and that kind of stuff. I think it's cool. Let's see. If there is a question that you asked and I didn't answer it, it's probably because I missed it because of my chat thing being messed up. But if you could please re-ask it, I will absolutely hop all over it. As far as Black Talon First Mark, it is a really, really good book. I think it is very well written. It's an interesting thing. I won't spoil it because there's a really cool twist to the character's origin. And so far, I'm going to go ahead and say that Neve Black Talon is one of the more interesting Stormcasts. I'll hold off spoilers until we get to the big, discussion or whatever. But yeah, happy to see you on the one painting today. Here it is at 7:14 a.m. in Germany. Well, good morning to you. It is 10:15 p.m. where I am at. Probably gonna just finish up these last few guys and hop off, but I'd love to catch up with anyone's questions that I missed. The Easter Hangout doesn't make much sense if I can't see your darn questions, right? Let's see. But I think after these dudes, I'm going to treat myself and I'm going to paint my Lord Arcanum on Griff Charger, which would be a fun little thing. Kinsey, question. Adding in with the discussion on Black Talon, her companion makes me want an extension into tribal groups for free peoples. Exactly, yeah. Across, if they made a tribal, whatever, generic human that would go across multiple Grand Alliances, would be awesome. Because she's described just like the Dark Oath are described, which is super interesting. What else? The audiobook, the author, the narrator, I should say, the person reading it, does a great job of giving her like a Russian accent, and it's super fun. Keto model win. Yes, I want a keto model. Do you know about Cetrus, the Stormcast cameo in Hamilcar? I think it has some interesting repercussions for Tomb Kings. Yeah, I read that little blurb. I haven't gotten to the full book yet, so I haven't read it in context. But it's the same thing with like Balthazar. Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and spoil that because the book's been out a while. But Balthazar Gelt, who was an old world character, master of metal magic, shows up in Soul Wars. And it's Balthus, and I don't know. It's cool. Yeah, I don't know. But again, like, they brought that old world character. They brought him in there. It's clearly supposed to be this person. There's a lot of allusions to him and that kind of stuff. But then they didn't do anything with it. They didn't go anywhere. So, I mean, would you really want him to come back and be like, and he's a Stormcast now, and he's just maybe like a Lord Arcanum or something, something important, but not like the Cetra we all want and expect and deify without reason, even though I don't know. He wasn't that big a deal. I don't know. I have a lot of opinions. I think nostalgia colors a lot of things, but yeah, I don't know. But my point being that, like, I love Balthazar Gelt. He was my favorite of the human people. But when they brought him back, they didn't do anything with him. So it's like, well, then what was the point? So I don't know. It's interesting to say like it'll have implications, but I'm not sure that it necessarily will. Let's see. Super excited for the new stuff. I held off on getting a keeper because I knew I would have an update. I was hoping for Senesh miss, but no luck. Yeah, it would be really cool to get a whole wave of stuff like they did for Nurgle, but I understand. Lore for my bestial Senesh army is Keeper Pretender in charge of Slash's menagerie decided to take a chunk of the realm of beasts as her own and unleash the myriad of beasts of Senesh. That's awesome. I love it. Morgan, yes, what I'm saying is the Lord Arcanum Balthus played a major role in Soul Wars novel. You're absolutely right. What I'm saying is beyond that. He doesn't have a rule sheet to be able to interact with him. He hasn't been in any other novels, to my knowledge. Like, they brought him back, referenced him. It's a cool Easter egg for people who played it, but it has no other repercussions. That's what I mean. Dark Dust. I'm okay with stormcasting old Warhammer Fantasy battle characters if GW have no plans for them. Agreed. Let's players kit bash their Stormcast Eternals versions if they like, waiting to see what happens to Vlad von Karstein. That's an interesting point. Yeah, that's a good idea. If they don't have any plans for them, why wouldn't Sigmar pluck the best and brightest souls around? That's an interesting idea. That's cool. And then, if that's what they want to do with Cetra, right? I think that would be a cool thing. I'd like to see him be a cool wizard who has cool stories. Balthus certainly was a tail kicker, man. He was awesome in that. Basically, I think, so it's been a while since I read Soul Wars. It looks like we're going to read it next month for the book club, so I'll have a chance to reread it. But there's a story that they're talked about where there was like a bunch of a raider army that was hoarding gold and stuff like that. And so rather than like storm the fortress and kill them all, Balthus turned it into lead. All the gold that they were hoarding and defending into lead, therefore destroying their whole reason to fight, and just like crushed them emotionally. I was like, that's so terrifying. I'm not going to fight you. I'm just going to destroy your reason for fighting. I don't need to beat you. I love it. It was something like that. I'm sure I'll reread it and it'll be like other details, but I thought that was a neat concept. Basically the last little step I have here is just gonna paint the bases black. So I have my old, almost turned into solid plastic mass of black paint here. But yeah, I don't know. I found that story to be really, really entertaining. So I do think like Balthazar Gelt was like one of the coolest. Man, he's just a cool character. I liked him. Bloodcast Eternals, go. You're asking me about the concept of a Stormcast Eternal of Khorne? Depends on what you mean by Bloodcast. Or do you have Bloodcast Eternals and you're treating them like Pokemon and you're saying go? Blood Angel Stormcast. Cold Shoulder question. Any tips for making bases from the realm of beasts? Well, I don't think there was like an official thing. When I did mine, so I did my Iron Jaws from the realm of beasts. And if you look at the Iron Jaws Battle Tome book cover, if you look at the dirt right underneath his feet, it's kind of like this. It's almost mustard yellow earth beneath him, and I wanted to do that. And so what I did was, they have like the sand texture paint for bases from G-Dubs. So I grabbed that, and then I did a wash on it of Cassandora Yellow to make it really that same kind of like amber tone. I don't know, it turned out pretty well. You can go see them on Rerolling Ones. I think they panned out pretty well. That was my thing. Lots of skulls and bits like that, because there's lots of beasts around, lots of skeletons. Yeah. Let's see. Another idea is a bunch of bloody ghosts that rise from pools of blood after Khorne's forces take vengeance on their murderers. That's a cool idea. I'm a big fan of the vengeance angle ever since they introduced it during the Rumgate Wars, because that was like the whole thing where like a bunch of Stormcasts, actually I think it was Celestial Vindicators, showed up to a town in Chimon, and Chaos ambushed them, and then a whole bunch of Nighthaunt came out of nowhere and smacked down the Chaos armies, because they're like, these are the guys who killed us, and Stormcast and Nighthaunt became allies of convenience just then. I do love stories that pit enemies as allies just for a brief time. Like the much maligned story from 40k of the Blood Angels and Necrons bro-fisting. Like, boop. What's up, buddy? And they join forces to kill Tyranids. Oh, let's see here. Reelings Jack joined us. Hey, I went 3-2 at a GT. Lost the final game against 160 Plague Monks. If I won, would have gotten second. Well, that is awesome. Did you have a good time, Jack? I mean, actually, I guess probably the most important question. 3-2, I believe, was your stated goal, because it was it's a big old GT. Like it. I know you would have loved to win and not turned it down, but I also think that was not wasn't like your pronounced goal as you went into the event. Not enough mousetraps. Mike, if I'm not mistaken, Jack, I believe you said the mission for that was focal points, which on that many bodies, that's a hard win. Stormcast versus 160 dudes. And it's not 160 dudes. It's 163 because you guys all had 2 Plague Furnaces and a Vermin Lord Warpseer. It was always going to be uphill. Lost against Doug's elite army. Super elite. Okay. Sorry, Doug, I'm not forgetting you ever said that. I said that the Scryer was elite, not that Pestilence was. Of which I do have Scryer, and I should probably be painting that, but I'm enjoying this way too stinking much. Teal is not a color I get to paint very often. Had a blast. Sweet. Let's see. No, it doesn't get to me. I make fun of myself all the time for switching armies. It's a reoccurring... I'm a meme in my own life. Let's see here. Good. Man, glad you had a good time, Jack. There was some stiff competition. There is a gentleman who... believe he was the winner of that event. He plays Disciples of Tzeentch. And he doesn't go to all the events, but he comes around every once in a while. I remember he used to be... there was a podcast for Warhammer Fantasy Battles called Dimensional Cascade, and he was one of their hosts. And then when AOS dropped, I remember listening to the final show, and they all just kind of rage quit. I'm glad he's back into it. He definitely is a competitive type, and that's what he enjoys about the game, and that's totally cool. I'm not sure. I mean, I doubt our paths will cross very often, because when I go to an event, I'm not there to take first place. I'm there to hang out. Point is that, I mean, unless we play to the first round where he gets to trounce me, I doubt we'll be on the same table. Well, let's see. Also, you guys are awesome. Got to meet a bunch of people who enjoy rolling 1s and 2+ stuff in person. Great people. Everyone's sweet. Yes, Jack got to be a little celebrity. Got to enjoy the fame life. He was like, man, Doug wakes up like this every single day. And it's like, yeah, totally, I do. I think I'm done painting for the night. Should go read. Awesome. I'm almost done painting too. I'm just finishing up the black part of the bases here. And we'll be all set for the night. Just got 3 more after this dude. Basically the thing, they just kind of take forever to dry. Cold Shoulder, what part of Canada are you in? I'm going to get my, what do you call it, enhanced license so I can go to Canada here pretty soon. Ottawa, Ontario. I don't know why I asked that question. I have no sense of geography. That doesn't help me at all. That was a dumb thing for me to do. Capital of Canada. Right on. Yeah, I don't know if I will go to LVO, but I will certainly, obviously I'll be at Nova this year. That's a big deal for me. Part of me wants to go to Adepticon, but also it just sounds like there's so much going on at Adepticon that it would just seem very overwhelming. But I know a ton of folks go there, other content creators. It's kind of the big deal, right? Adepticon. And I don't know. Can someone tell me, does LVO have an AOS narrative event? Oh, Jack's definitely going to AOS. Okay, cool. You got a firm yes, and you got a maybe someday from me. Let's see. Jack, let's see. 12:30 night. Perfect time to read. My problem is I tend to wait to read until I'm about to go to bed, and then I just read 2 pages and I crash. Every time. It's like clockwork. Ottawa is a very competitive scene and mostly play with my friends, though I recently discovered a local casual group starting up an AOS branch. That's awesome. Yeah, I want to get better at the game so I can play at those competitive levels, but it's not how I enjoy it. But I want to be able to do it, because I want to be able to experience kind of everything that this hobby has, of which that is a major portion. But I understand that. It's good that you found a group that kind of has your same taste in games. Or I should say game experiences, you know? Narrative stuff is just a different experience. Alright, what we got left? One last thing on the topic of Catalia's acts in the book. In Mother Garand, Tree Trop You. I love it. Yeah, they gave her a very, very pronounced Russian accent. I thought that was funny. Okay. I played twice and lost both times, but I had a blast every time I lost. Skink Handlers killing a single Boingrot Knight made me happy. That's funny. I love it. I haven't seen the Boingrots do much in games. Local guy Rick is my favorite Gloomspite Gets player because his stuff is painted amazingly. And in the game we play, like they never made it into combat. Like, he kind of took them far around the outside of the battlefield to come in from a flank, and by the time they did, there wasn't stuff there. Like, the battle had moved elsewhere, and so they never really got to do anything, which is a shame. But, yeah. Anyway, friends, I think I'm going to move my light and blind y'all. I'm going to call it a night here. It was fun to hang out with you. Sorry about that time at one point where the chat kind of went dead, and I just wasn't responding. That was really weird. I'm going to look into that. But anyway, hope you all had a very happy Easter. I will probably be on to do a live show tomorrow during midday because I have the day off. And we'll get some more painting done. We'll start the Lord Arcanum and we'll have a good time. So friends, thank you all. I'll see you soon.